Hey everyone, David C. Anderson here coming at you from the Knife Center. And today, it's that time of the week where I get to show you all the cool new stuff that's hit our shelves in the last 7 days. Got some cool stuff this week. Let's check them out. So before we jump into the knives, I've got some pretty exciting news actually. As most of you probably know, the rescheduled Blade Show was going to be happening next weekend, but it did get canceled. But that doesn't mean that we still can't hang out with our friends and have fun. So all next week, we've lined up a series of interviews from all the big companies that normally would be showing at Blade Show. So we're gonna have some really cool unveils, new products to show you guys from folks like BenchMADE, SPYDERCO, CRKT, the works. All the big fellas. We're recording all the interviews this particular week, and we're going to be putting videos out every day next week, starting on August 3rd. It's going to be the Blade Show Week celebration here at the Knife Center, so that's definitely something to look forward to. So the first one's very exciting. It's part of the line extension to our Knife Center exclusive Pack-A-Wood handled Spyderco models, and this is the new Police 4, which I believe this is only the second version of the Police 4 to be out at all yet, apart from the lightweight version. Now available, starts at $224 for this higher end version. And of course you get those nice mahogany Pack-A-Wood scales and this nice long blade, about 4.4 inches long. Huge, massive blade, but still nice and thin with a full flat grind. So it's always gonna be, like a lot of Spydercos out there, a very good slicer. The steel is the same as the rest of the lineup of our exclusives in this handle and blade combination. You've got a triple laminated steel. You've got HAP 40 at the center and some stainless layers on the outside, because that HAP 40 is a powder metallurgy steel, has really good edge retention, but it is not stainless. But that's actually kind of cool. I don't mind a non-stainless blade, but with this particular combination, over time, especially if you use this on any kind of food or anything like that, that edge is gonna patina just a little bit, get a little bit darker, and that's gonna look really good against these Pack-A-Wood handles. It feels really good in the hand. You get a little bit more weight than the FRN versions, of course, but then not as much as the all stainless steel versions. Those are still a little bit heavier, but this one comes in right in the middle and I think sits at a really good sweet spot. But you can put that blade to use. You've got that long sweeping profile to the edge itself, and being the Police 4, you've got that nice finger choil there that you see on a lot of Spydercos out there, but until they released the newer version of the Police, that particular knife lacked that feature. So it's real nice to see that there, especially on a longer blade like this. You'll be able to get a little bit more finer control over that tip. But the rest of it, again, it's what you'd expect from the rest of our Pack-A-Wood exclusives, just scaled up to this model. You've got the 4-position pocket clip, lock back, excellent Spyderco construction. There you go. All right, next up, I've got another Knife Center exclusive for you, and this is an Emerson, the CQC7V Flipper. This is I think a very compelling iteration of the CQC7. Of course, you've got that flipper deployment, and instead of their standard steel, we got upgraded to S35 VN in this case. Now these are limited, they're actually numbered here. This particular one is number 1 out of 60, so there's not a ton of these out there. And no, you can't have number 1. This belongs to one of our employees here who actually made this deal happen. He purchased this particular one. But in addition to that S35 VN, you've got the black and orange G10 handles with a little bit of radius to it, as you can tell by the way the layers are revealed right there. But with the cool handles, that upgraded blade steel, and the flipper in this case, I think these are gonna be very compelling and are probably gonna go very, very quickly. I actually don't have the price in front of me right now. We're recording this a few days before this video goes up, and I don't think it's been finalized just yet. So you'll have to stick around and follow the link in the description to check that knife out, and check it out quick, because again, like I said, there's only 60 left, or 59 actually, because this one's already sold. Emersons, of course, are known for being very hard use, as is this next brand, and this is another knife that's not usually a flipper. This is the new flipper version of the DPX HEST 3.0. This knife comes in at $350, and it is a flipper as opposed to just the simple thumb stud deployment. It still is a titanium frame lock, however. Now these are made for DPX, depending on which one. Some are made in Italy, some are made in the US. This is one of the Italian-made models, made of course by Lion Steel. And what it lacks, however, that most of the Lion Steel models usually have, is that roto block secondary safety mechanism right there. So if you wanted that, sorry. If it's something you never used or thought was kind of tacked on, good news for you here on this. It's not there in this case. But we've got titanium on both sides of the handle with a really nice milling pattern going on. It looks more aggressive than it is actually. It's actually pretty darn comfortable, I would say. But you do get, of course, a little bit extra surface area and a little bit of extra grip in the process. Titanium, of course, is nice and lightweight. They've even milled out some pockets on the inside to reduce the weight even further, but it doesn't feel any less robust than some of the other versions out there. But of course, you want to know how it flips. We do have ball bearings in the pivot, and it is made by Lion Steel, so as you would expect, quite good. M390 steel on this particular one, same blade size, just over 3 inches, nice stone-washed finish, nice thick blade stock to start with, so you definitely have a robust blade there. Got your different sections of wire stripper or wire breaker here that also act as thumb jimping, as well as the spine cutout that works as a bottle opener or a pocket deployer, kind of like Emerson's Wave. Yeah, I forgot, didn't mention the Wave pocket deployer on the Emerson. This guy also has that, but it's a little bit different for patent reasons, of course. On the back, you've still got that 1/4-inch bit driver, the nice deep carry pocket clip, which is of course reversible, and the carbide tip glass breaker here on the end, which actually holds the clip in place. But if you don't want that sharpened point right there, they do supply an extra cap there that's more rounded over, so you can swap that out if you want. Now let's move on to a new fixed blade this week. We've got the new version of the BenchMADE Saddle Mountain Skinner, of course in their Hunt line, and this one comes in at $212.50 right now. Now this is an updated version, new for 2020. They've kind of re-engineered or slightly tweaked the old versions in the Hunt line. And the differences you see, first of all, the most obvious is the new handle option here. We've got a rich light handle with orange G10 liners, which I think looks really great. I'm actually a big fan of rich light as well. If you're not familiar with it, it's kind of similar, actually very similar to paper micarta, but you're able to get some cool layers with the way they build this out. It's pretty cool material. They use it for all kinds of things, and in the last several years, it's really been making inroads in the knife industry, and I think that's really cool. The other thing that you can see is that no more recurve. They used to have a more aggressive recurve here at the back of the blade. Now you've just got a simpler straight edge. It's going to be a little bit easier to sharpen, of course, but the nose of the knife is still a little broader than at the heel. So you still have the same, pretty much the same edge profile when you're actually doing the skinning tasks, this being one of the Hunt series that you would expect. But as I said, because you don't have that recurve, it's going to be a little bit easier to sharpen, and that's definitely going to be appreciated on this particular version because we've got S90V particle steel here. Edge retention champ, but it does take a little bit more effort to sharpen for sure. Also, and I'm basing this on memory, so if I'm wrong, correct me in the comments, I'm sure you will. I think the blade stock's actually thinner on this version than on the old ones. This one's sitting just under 1/8 of an inch, it looks like. And I'm pretty sure the older ones might have been more like 5/32. But yeah, anyway, let me know if I'm wrong on that. You've still got the same jimping you see on a lot of the Hunt series. You've got a little area there for your thumb and a little area further out on the spine for your index finger when you're choking up for those kind of sweeping types of cuts that you might use in a hunting scenario. Handle's nice and contoured. On the slimmer side, this is not like a big meaty wood carving knife or bushcraft knife. It's designed to carry easily but still give you a comfortable grip. You got a nice set of thumb scallops there as well. You do have this sort of crenellating here at the back. It's kind of gentle. I personally would have rather seen it just be a straight spine, but it is going to give you a little more surface area again for a little bit more traction. And it's not, when I'm gripping it hard, it doesn't really feel like it's poking me in any sort of way. So yeah, take that with a little bit of a grain of salt, I guess. Now the sheath they include is Kydex, and as you can see, two color. We got black on one side, orange on the other. One thing, a little bit of a disappointment, there's no belt attachment hardware in the box, but if you have a tech lock, that'll work. We'll make sure to leave a link down below for those as well. The rivets will work with a large tech lock, and because of that slot, the small will also work, or you can string up any number of different belt attachment systems. All right, next up we've got a new version of the CIVIVI DOGMA. And the reason I'm showing you this, because we showed the G10 version a few weeks ago. There's new brass and copper versions that look absolutely phenomenal, and these come in just over 67 bucks right now. Now this is the brass one right here, and as you can see, you've got black and brass coloration, because what they've done, they've essentially patinaed the entire scale after jigging it. So you have a faux, like, jigged bone type of texture. And then they've come back in and polished over that area, so the jigged sections are deeper and blacker, and you get the edges along the top here, and along that jigging show through with that brass. Looks really darn cool. It's also got a deep carry pocket clip like the original, which is reversible so you can carry it on either side. Same blade steel, I believe, D2 again here, about 3.5 inches worth with a nice black stonewashed finish and a hollow grind. And we were just talking about this earlier today when we were looking at factory edges. CIVIVI and Knife Company, their parent company, always give you a nice, thin, very sharp factory edge. So if you're looking for precision, CIVIVI and are definitely a good place to look. Flipping action's quite good because, of course, ball bearings, flipper, liner lock, it all works together very well, and it looks absolutely fantastic in this handle material. Now, if you like that kind of clip point vibe, but you want something a little more premium, you're in luck. Got something kind of similar here, a little bit smaller. This is the new Assassin from KIZER. This one comes in at $159, and you've got an S35V end blade in this particular case, coming in a little bit over 3 inches. This knife also has a very thin and very sharp edge, but we've got a flat grind here instead of a hollow, and you do have a little bit of a blade cutout here. Let's see, actually, I didn't check on the DOGMA. Yeah, you can kind of get in there and do the middle finger flick with that, or of course open it with your thumb. Now, I didn't have too much luck doing the middle finger flick with this before, but you can get in there and open it with your thumb. And what's nice about that is, in addition to, of course, the blade cutout, you can see there's a little milled out section there, and that leaves you with a little bit of a sort of shelf right here where that thumb jimping takes over, and your thumb can actually hook into that very nicely and flick the blade open. Or if you're like most people, just flip it open because you got ball bearings and you've got a flipper, because this is a titanium frame lock flipper after all, and a reasonably priced one as well. The action's quite good. There's 2 versions. You got the 3-line milled version, or the 3-line version here, and there's also one with a circular hole pattern that you can get as well. But it's a nice little size and shape for a classy EDC. Got a nice lanyard point there with a nice ridged bit of backspacer that I like. Milled titanium pocket clip. Very premium feeling for not a too premium price tag at all. I've got another clip point from KIZER. This one more affordable, coming in at $64 because this is part of their VANGUARD line. Still built to essentially the same type of spec or the same level of refinement. You've just got slightly more affordable materials and more affordable construction methods. We've got N690 stainless steel right here, which is actually a pretty good deal for that type of material at only 64 bucks. And a really aggressive clip point here. I mean, that tip comes down to a very acute, almost needle-like point right there. Still nice and sharp, still with a flat grind. You've got thumb studs as well as the flipper there, and a couple of different micarta handle options. This is the brown micarta, as you can probably tell, because it looks brown. But still, nice flipping action. Actually kind of looks really cool closed up. It's got an interesting profile there with the way that blade kind of clips out so aggressively. But it flips open nice. Another great little utility EDC player. It is a reversible pocket clip. It can go to both sides, and it's almost completely deep carry. Just a really nice piece. All right, we're gonna jump back up to the $164 price point for this next KIZER. This is the new APUS front flipper. A couple of versions. We've got the copper version here with copper inlays on top of this titanium frame lock. Stonewash texture on them looks quite good, and of course copper is gonna wear in and patina nicely, so each one is gonna be very different from the next once it's actually been carried for a while. There's also a carbon fiber version though if you like something like that instead. It's a simpler design overall. I think the overall shape kind of reminds me of some more classic type of slip joint knives even. Nice blade shape, got a very useful continuous curve to the edge, but they've kept the spine, given it a couple of different straight lines with a little bit of a drop here at the tip to kind of keep things visually interesting. And of course that blade cutout will also kind of spices up the profile a little bit. What I like about what they've done on the lock bar on this, I don't always like lock bars that are flush with the line of the front scale, because sometimes I can feel they're a little bit tougher to disengage, but I don't find that to be the case at all with this one. There's enough of a gap, and they've actually kind of chamfered the edges enough that it's very easy for my thumb to get a good purchase there to unlock the blade without having to try hard. Now, as I mentioned, this is a front flipper. You can see the little bit of the spine sticking up there. You do have that blade cut out, but this is not really a one-hand opener with that. I'm having trouble. I do have fat fingers, but I'm having trouble kind of pinching that out. You could, of course, two-hand open it very easily. Or, again, I'm not the best at front flippers all the time either, but you could slow roll it out, and other people have had no problem flicking that out really easily. All right, one more KIZER. There you go. New Vanguard version of the Sheepdog XL. And it's a monster. These things are huge, but they're awesome. 4-inch blade, or just under 4 inches. They flip really well. And what you're really gonna flip over is the price. 99 bucks for this massive slab of knife right here. Steel's 154 cm, giant cleaver profile, as you can see, with a nice high flat grind. Definitely gonna be able to get some aggressive cutting done with this particular knife. The handles are carbon fiber, and they've even kind of scaled up the carbon fiber weave along with the rest of the knife. It looks really cool. There's a good texture to it as well. And like a lot of the KIZER stuff with that sort of 3-line milled pattern, you have that here as well, and it reveals the G10 layering underneath that top layer of carbon fiber. Liner lock holds things secure, ball bearings in the pivot. You already saw me flip it. You know it works really well. Just awesome. Just, you know, may not be the most practical thing in the world, certainly takes up a ton of room in your pocket, but it puts a smile on your face, and that's hard to put a price tag on. So if we're gonna have a huge knife like that, I gotta show the smallest knife on the table right after it. This is the new version of the Case Pocket Hunter. This is actually a SHOT Show exclusive, and they're finally rolling out. This one comes in at $53.95 right now. Now the Pocket Hunter, of course, is not something you see too often. It's kind of a miniaturized 2-blade trapper model, essentially. Each of these blades is about 2 1/8 of an inch long, using Case's proprietary True Sharp stainless steel. It's kind of in the vicinity of some kind of 420, I believe. It's a nice hollow grind on there and a really high mirror polish. And the handles on this particular version are dark red jigged bone. You've got the nice stars and stripes shield inlay right there on the front. It's a cool knife on its own, but if you're a Case Peanut fan, this might give you something, another alternative to check out while it lasts, while it's still part of the catalog and on our shelves. I've got a couple other new slip joints for you this week. 2 now from MASERIN. And before I tell you the name, you can already see you've got a half stop on both of these 2 blades, and the walk and talk is good. There's some nice snap there. But I gotta look at the name on this one because it's Italian and there's a lot of syllables. It's the Sessantesimo new slip joint series from MASERIN. Comes in about 80 bucks right now. They come with 2 blades, as you can see. You've got the serrated sheep's foot, smaller blade over here, and a slightly longer pen blade over here. Or maybe I shouldn't say pen blade, those are usually a little bit shorter. Just a nice everyday utility drop point or spear point blade on that side. And for those wondering, the blade length on there comes in just over 2.5 inches on that one. These use 420 stainless steel. And what's nice about them, in addition to having some cool handle inlays, which I'll get to, is both of those blades are on a single spring. Single back spring there, and of course, being MASERIN, they crowned that back spring as well. So it's got a bit more of a premium feel, and it's a little bit more expensive to do than just a flush backspacer. But the handles, I think, are where these guys really shine. The construction is actually out of aluminum, and we've got a bunch of different inlay options. And I really love the burlap micarta options that we've got right now. This one, of course, being red, but there's greens, naturals. I think there's even some carbon fiber and wood options. Just really, really cool. They even come with a nice classy pocket slip, so you can throw that in there and stick it in your pocket and not have to worry about other things getting this scratched up, or even worrying about this scratching other things up. Really, really cool set of knives, I think, for sure. If you want something a little less traditional looking in your slip joint, another new one from MASERIN, also coming in right now just under 80 bucks. This is the in-estero. Again, like the Sessantesimo, whatever that one I just said, like that, you've got aluminum handles and a bunch of different handle inlay options. This particular one is Bacote wood, and I thought it looked really cool, so that's the one I pulled for you to show you right now. Blade steel here gets an upgrade from the 420. We've got D2 and a very distinctive sheep's foot profile. You've got more of a hump here that could potentially let you use that to lift up a little bit more than just it would if it was a standard sheep's foot, but I think it's mostly just decorative. You've got a long pull for opening, nice flat grind, and again, the walk and talk is really good, really fantastic. But at the same time, it may be a little bit difficult to open, but I shouldn't use the word difficult. It just takes a little bit more force than some out there. but it's satisfying to use, so it's definitely worth the trade-off. No pocket slip on this one, but you do get a reversible pocket clip instead, which is a nice little addition to this design. All right, I did show you a couple new knives last week from SOG's professional line. I actually forgot to show you this one. This is the new Vision XR. This is, of course, sort of an update of their older Vision model, and you get their XR lock, which is their take on the crossbar style of lock that BenchMade made famous with their Axis lock design. Like that lock and other competitors in the genre, you can simply pull that lock bar back and flick the blade closed if you want. It's ambidextrous as well, so lefties and righties will have no problem using it. And then you can open it the same way by wrist flicking it open while holding the lock bar back. We've also got a set of thumb studs and a flipper tab to use instead if you'd rather do that. We've got black G10 handles on this one. That's the only option for color right now. And you've got a nice blade steel here. It's not the Cryo D2 they're using on some of the less expensive models. This one is a little bit more. This comes in just under 150, and they're using CTS XHP powder metallurgy steel. So some folks kind of regard that as a sort of a stainless D2 in a way, just in terms of how it feels, how it behaves. But of course, you are going to get a lot more edge retention in addition to getting more corrosion resistance than, you know, your standard D2. It does have a black coating here, but because it's XHP, it doesn't need that for added rust resistance, but this being a full-on tactical knife, it is going to minimize reflections. Now you've got the Tonto profile here, and you can get it with or without these partial serrations. And it's not the most aggressive Tonto here in the terms of the transition from the straight edge to the belly or the tip of the knife. Some of the ones they have right now are actually very gentle that kind of ride the line between a knife with an actual belly on it. This biases a little bit more towards the tactical uses though. Rounding things out, nice pocket clip there on the side. It's not deep carry. You do have enough sticking out here to grab onto, even if you're wearing combat or duty gloves. That's going to be important given the mission of this knife. And it is reversible for either side, so the clip doesn't hold you back. You can use it on either side just like you can with that ambidextrous lock. So speaking of that style of lock, we've actually got a restock in. The new versions of the Bug Out CF Elite are back on our shelves for now, at least. So if you've been waiting for these to come back in, now's your chance to get your hands on them. And we've still got S30V steel like the original model, but this is a little more expensive, comes in $144.50. And the reason for that is the handle materials. These aren't Grivery, they're using the new material they call CF Elite, hence Bug Out CF Elite. And instead of Grivery, where it's sort of a glass fiber reinforced nylon, this is a carbon fiber reinforced nylon. And it does two things for you. One, it's even lighter than Grivery. So, I mean, the Bug Out has always been a super light knife, and this material shaves off a little bit more still on top of that. But in addition to being lighter, it's also stronger. It flexes less than the Grivery handles. I know some people don't like that about the original Bug Out. So this really kind of goes a real long way to solving that problem. The other thing too is, even though it looks like a completely blacked out knife, you actually get a little bit of sheen or a little bit of sparkle from that CF Elite, because it's kind of a really dark graphite rather than black. And you see a little bit of the reflections that you might see from carbon fiber without actually seeing any kind of weave there. So I really like this material. I think it's a really cool thing. I'm excited to see more models from BenchMade in it. And I don't know if we're going to see it in any colors. I don't know if they actually can color this material or not. But I like it just the way it is. Last up, we showed you the new KnifeCenter exclusive released RIKE TULAY last week, the version with carbon fiber inlays and red and black G10. But there are a couple other versions that are available now and on our shelves that I wanted to show you. A little bit of a discount. These start at $140, about 10 bucks less than that other version. Still got 154 cm steel, about 3.6 inches, and that integral G10 construction. You know, world's first integral G10 production flipper. Certainly gives you a rock solid platform, and it doesn't suffer from any real drawbacks that we've been able to see. It still flips open very nicely. You've got a nice liner lock anchored on the inside there to hold things open. Really excellent blade profile, I've got to say, on this model. They've kept the steel fairly thin and given it a really high flat grind, and kept the edge nice and thin as well. This is just a knife that is ready to slice. Deep carry pocket clip is right side only. I know it may look like you could reverse it around, but this is actually inset to the handles on this side, so it's not going to be able to be swapped. This one right here has fluorescent green G10, but there's OD green and red also available. One more quick note, I know we've been calling this the TULAY, but we had a commenter actually mention that he thinks it's a Filipino word pronounced tulay, which actually means bridge, which I think would be really appropriate for this type of construction. So whoever that was, I'm sorry I forgot your name, but thanks for dropping that in the comments. I think that's really cool. All right, that's all I've got to show you this week in terms of the new knives. Make sure to let me know what you thought of them down in the comments. And if you want to get your hands on any of them, we will leave links in the description to take you over to KnifeCenter.com. And make sure you sign up for our Knife Rewards program while you're there, because if you're going to buy one of these cool knives, you might as well earn some free money to spend on your next one. Thanks for sticking around. I hope you enjoyed yourselves. And remember, make sure to tune in next week for our Blade Show Week celebration. We've got a lot of cool content coming up to show you guys. I'm really looking forward to seeing them myself and you know, finishing the interviews that we're recording this week. Thanks, guys. Thanks for sticking around. I hope you're all staying safe, sane, and sanitary out there. See you next time.